Hi, mic testing. Mic testing.
Yes, you can hear me?
Hi, I'm Veni. I'm doing PhD at Center for Earth Sciences, Indian Institute of Science. Today, we have a very special guest from France, Dr. Yann Sivry. He's a scientific collaborator. If I may say so, he is also a very good friend of ours. So I welcome Dr. Yann Sivry. Salut.
Thank you, Vini. Hi.
Ça va?
Ça va. How about you?
I'm good.
Good.
So let's start our conversation by getting to know you better. So can you just tell us about what you do and your institute and the kind of research that you do?
Yeah. I'm a associate professor in Paris, in France, in the Université Paris Cité. My research lab is Institut de Physique du Globe, IPGP, and I'm geochemist. My background is chemistry. Then I came to work in environmental questions in the field of geochemistry. So my main focus is on the cycle of heavy metals, elements, and at the Earth surface. And I'm trying to understand how do human activity modify these cycles. So basically, we consider contamination, pollution, modification of the cycle in terms of species of elements, and immediately there is a link with the impact on humans. So impact on environment and impact on humans too.
So something very generic next. As a researcher or as a scientist, what motivates you every day to wake up and do what you do? Take your time.
More money.
You want money.
No,
That's a really good motivation.
it is not a good job for that, you know.
That's
Well,
true.
Yes, I know in India, but in France, even you have
Same here.
high level, high education level. It is not the best position to get a lot of money. No, it's a real choice indeed. Like I could have worked in a private company and do something else, but this academic career is really what I chosen. I did my PhD purposely to do in research. It's curiosity, curious about the world, and just the need to better understand what is around me. And I'm not talking about only environment, but also interaction between human and environment. And step by step, I discovered that I really like not only to dig, to do research, to understand, but also to transmit. So that's why associate professor is a good position for me, because I can learn a lot, I can study, I can develop the global knowledge and try to transmit it also as much as possible. And this is something very pleasant. I think it has a better impact on the society than most of other work
And
other jobs that I could have done.
So you really think that science is your calling? Like science is your passion?
Science, yes.
When did you come to realize this? Like before doing your PhD or?
Yes, before. I mean,
When did you understand that, okay, this is my calling, like science is what?
science is not research. So I had scientific feeling, like attraction since kids. Okay, since I was very young. So I always like scientific stuff, like natural sciences, earth, and then chemistry or biology. I was really fond of this. A bit less in mathematics, to be honest. But then you continue. You don't know even what kind of job you can do with this to be happy with your job doing science. But research, it came only after my engineering degrees or during the engineering degrees.
So you were exposed to research during your engineering
It happened
time?
during internship. Engineering school in France is 5 years after the bac.
5 years.
5 years, like a master. But it's compulsory to do internship. And I had the opportunity to do internship in a geochemistry lab in Spain.
Okay.
And thanks to one of my professors from the chemistry school, she pushed me to see how it looks, environmental research.
This was for how many months in Spain?
It was very short, like 2 months.
Okay.
In Zaragoza. It was a very great experience. And I realized that we can do science studying the Earth and nothing to do with private companies. Like in chemistry, it's very easy to go for drugs, pharmaceutical stuff, and other chemicals or fertilizers, etc. So it's very common, and there is a lot of things interesting in science to do in this field, but it was not my purpose. I realized that studying Earth, so it was very during so it was 4 years. It means 1 year before the end. So I decided to go for the last year in something very specific in this field, to do a master at the same time as an engineering school. So I could do PhD thanks to that. So thanks to this internship.
So soon after your degree, you joined for PhD?
After that?
Soon after your engineering, you joined for PhD? Soon after?
Immediately, because I had the opportunity to cannot do PhD with engineering, need a master in research. And so I did both and could get a PhD position.
And like, we do a lot of, I believe that in science we work as a team. So we need to brainstorm and we need to discuss a lot.
Yeah.
So what is one advice, or do you have any tips to give when you work as a team? Because I know that you work as a team there, and you have led the team too, I think. So any tips on that? Like, there will be many people in the team from different backgrounds who have their own personalities and their own viewpoint on science. So when you're working as a team, like, what is that one tip that you think would be useful for young researchers?
Take more coffee together.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
That's good. That's good.
Yes, that's where ideas happen.
That's what idea.
Where new ideas happen. You're discussing because we have formal discussion and informal. It's very necessary to have formal discussion. That's why we organize them, like seminar, slides explaining some data, or discussing the results, in which direction we should go. But the best discussion is when you just leave your lab, you leave your office, you need a coffee, you go, you sit, you think about what you're doing, and you face problem, and fortunately, you have colleagues around, and then you can start discussing. And then it's something else, because it is not planned, you are not showing your data, like explaining, etc. Just talk about general things, including your point, your problem. That's the best. In terms of tip, for the very young students, my suggestion, my advice is that they should forget, as soon as they are in master, should forget that they are students. Okay?
In masters?
Yes. Once they graduate, in their head, they should not be anymore students. They should be scientists, learning scientists, young scientists, but scientists, part of a group, part of a team. So when they integrate a lab, they should open themselves to any other, whatever the grade, if it's professor, full professor, if it is a postdoc, if it is a PhD, because anybody normally is here to help each other and to discuss and to make science better. So for young scientists, it's important to understand that in a lab, they are not anymore young students afraid of everything, etc.
So is that how you see the students, like students, like the master?
Yes. I'm getting older.
You treat them.
I'm getting older and older. So at the beginning it was not the case, but of course today I see that there is this kind of different behavior, and it should not. Sometimes it's just a nice wall to break, but sometimes it stays like that. So discussion. Then and don't be afraid to say stupid things.
That's important.
I used to do. It's not a problem.
And what would your advice to the students who are facing multiple challenges, who are failing experiments, who are facing failed experiments, who are not getting the desired results?
Yeah.
What would your advice be? Because in science, I know most of the time the experiments fail. Most of the times we won't get the desired results. So to the young students, who doesn't know?
You're very lucky if your experiment works.
Yeah.
It's just a good way to think. It's just another step. When it's failed, you just learn from the fail, obviously. So don't be depressed. This is just science. It is a difference between a practical course when you're undergraduating and when you start trying to develop your own experiment, not the one planned by the teacher that is known to work. So you try by your own, and of course, 90% chance it will fail. But this is how science works, how research is improving. So just do not stop. Never stop.
So what is that one quality that you look in a researcher, or you think a researcher should have?
Is it the right term in English? Perseverance?
Perseverance, yes.
Perseverance.
True.
This is
Works in life too.
the main. Curiosity and perseverance. With this, obviously, you need to be rigorous, etc. A lot of rigorous. Many other quality will improve the quality of your research and the efficiency. But first of all, curiosity and perseverance.
And is there any discovery in the recent time or like in the past that you still think that you would like to be part of? A discovery that you think, oh, I wish I was, part of.
There are many. There are many, but
just one or two.
Maybe I would have loved to work with Marie Curie, like the Greek scientist developing trigonometry.
Trigonometry?
Yeah, because they had very great spirit, very impressive.
Okay. And I was about to ask you something, then I got distracted. Wait, let me think. No, I got distracted. No, I went into the past. I was thinking something, and then my train of thought. My train of thought just went in that direction.
People who discovered also that Earth was not plain.
Flat.
Yeah.
Anything in the recent time? Anything in the recent time?
In the recent time, I would have worked with people on the nuclear bomb.
Nuclear bomb?
To stop them. To stop their research. Like something to prevent this and to say, okay. No, there is a lot. There are positive things with nuclear plants, yeah. So not only part of it came very positive things. The knowledge in general is positive. Is what we do with it that is very often negative.
And like, how do you deal with self-doubt when it comes to your work? Because we all have our own insecurities. Sometimes we think that because we meet people who are like, really good, we are also good. I'm not saying that. But sometimes it creeps in, right? Like sometimes you have the self-doubt. Am I good? Or, am I doing the right thing with science? So how do you deal with that? How do you build that confidence?
It's weird because in my case, I step by step, not I am losing my confidence, but I was much more self-confident when I was younger, before my PhD, during my PhD, and just after, than today.
Now you're more humble.
More?
Humble. Humble as in?
Maybe it's humble. Yeah, maybe it's part of this, but it's also when you look forward and you say, okay, no, you realize that it's important to not say stupid things that you cannot argue that this is true, etc. So being self-confident at a certain point will bring you telling bullshit, because you want to want to prove that yes, it's what I do is the best thing, etc. And then it's visible, it's flashy, you're happy. It's a real trap. So step by step, I start adopting more and more on, and I think it's part of science. It is a good point. Much better to be very sure of what we argue before arguing it.
Yeah.
So I don't really fight against this.
You are
It's
accepting
it's
it.
just part of research. The best is to have open discussion with other colleagues, okay, on what you believe. If you think it's a good idea, stupid, good finding, stupid things, and there are conferences for that. There are seminars. Of course, you can be judged, but if you got enough maturity, you can say, okay, this is what I believe. This is what I think is possible. Has a process, has a new finding. But people, what do you think? Also, what do you think? Then you can face other ideas, and you should not be afraid of that. Should not be afraid of being wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
Be afraid of not worry about it.
Yeah. And I have asked you this before, but again, I mean, out of the camera, I have asked you this question. Do you have any dream project? Dream project as in something that you're looking forward to doing? Like a passion project?
Yes, of course. I mean, among all the research projects I am developing or I am trying to develop, so they are running or ongoing. One is not ongoing yet, but I really push for that, is the study of nanoparticles in deposit in Greenland.
That's an active
The
one.
North Pole. Yes, it is active. So far, I have not been there.
Okay.
So it's still ongoing, but it can be a question of months before I go there to collect some samples. Something like a dream work, because it's really something wild. It's a wild area, very close to my own personal passions, outdoor stuff, but with a real scientific purpose and questioning regarding the human emission of particles in a global scale, and the deposit of human waste, something like waste, in very remote area. And this is what I really want to push these days, these months. Also, very interesting project. But this one, I really want to push on it for the coming years.
And again, something very generic to the students, to the young students who are looking for PhD positions in France, and also for the young PhD students who are looking for postdoc positions in France. Do you have any advice? Do you have any tip?
I think first it's a good idea, because it's a great field.
How is research in France, like in general?
It's tricky to find a position after the PhD. That's true. In academic research, what I say to all the students I hire in PhD is that a PhD is not opening the doors only to academic research. Once you get a PhD, either in France, but anywhere in the world, and even more elsewhere in the world than in France, where the PhD is equivalent to some other engineering schools. But anywhere else, it's really visible, and you can do a lot of different jobs else than academic research, and you will learn some skills that are valuable and useful in many other fields than academic research. So if you have doubts, don't
If you have what?
doubts in should I pursue in PhD?
Academia.
Yes, you have 3 years in France, a bit more sometimes, to learn if you are good in that, if you are made for that or not. And if it's the case, go. If it's not the case, it is not a lot of time. It's like a nice project that you can handle and you will learn a lot and you can apply your skills to several other fields after. It's a real added value. So if they have doubts on this, that's what I say. Then how to find a position, this is something else. I'm not sure it was the question.
No, like just an advice for the students. And what else? I think the questions are almost over. Let me check.
You have a mosquito on the hand. You have a mosquito on the hand.
It's not biting me.
Yes, you're lucky.
Yeah, because of the
Because
coat. Yes, one important question. So what is this? What is a common misconception when it comes to your work? A common misconception that people have when it comes to the work that you do. Like a misconception, like how do
they believe that it is useless. Yes, the worst thing I can hear and I'm fighting again is when people, even friends of mine, they don't really understand what we are doing and then don't really see the purpose. Most of my friends are very closely related people. Took very long time for me to explain to my family what it was, why it was useful, and for my friends also sometimes.
What do you tell them?
I'm just trying to show very concrete examples on the daily life, but very often the impact of science on the daily life, you can see it long time after. So what we are developing now, the global knowledge, it's sometimes the people, they just see when there is some, like, okay, a new invention, something technical, it's visible for them and they can realize, but they don't understand that research, scientific research, is not building new new tools, new equipment. It's really the understanding and description of things.
We face the same thing in earth sciences too, because especially the kind of work that we do, which is inside the earth, you cannot directly show the outcome. If I do something in the mantle, so what? Like for the people, so what?
You can explain how past this discovering had impacted in their daily life, like the discovering of a magnetic field of Earth and all what is related today with the magnetic field. And for atmospheric science, the study of climate, then the other things related to more daily meteorological problems, and also in earth science there are other examples, but
there are many examples.
We need to look in the past to explain why today this knowledge has impacted the daily life. So, and on the other side, something very basic is that there is part of transmission of the knowledge in our jobs, and this people can understand easily. Okay, like education,
teaching,
improving the global level of education of people. This makes sense. People basically they understand.
So, what does success mean to you in science and
in science? In science or in my life?
In your life and in your science, both. If you don't want to talk about your life, then science, that's fine.
For global life,
how do you define success?
Happiness. If you are equilibrated life between your private and professional life, then you are successful. Stop. So it's very philosophical.
No, it makes sense.
But it makes sense, and it's not what. I mean, it's easy to say, but to really realize and believe it is the case, and then trying to reach it is something else. Because then you can say, of course, I want to be happy, and it will be my success. But it's very difficult to obtain it. As a scientist, indeed, we are very often running after things we want and things we don't want, but we are pushed to run after getting project credits, being part of everything, to be aware of everything, and to push the direction we want for science, but at local scale, at a medium scale. And indeed, in the end, sometimes can have the feeling that I'm really happy with that. Maybe not, indeed. And when you start doing a lot of things not really related to research, like basic fundamental stuff in the lab, in the field, or in communication, or in educational stuff, just more administrative, and seems like losing your time. And to counterbalance, sometimes you need to take in the private, take time in the private. So if this is not success for me, it's not successful, it's not at all what I want. You manage to equilibrate and to have cannot be 50-50, but to have something where you are happy with your daily life in work, and your daily life when you come back home, it's okay.
Are you happy?
It depends on the day.
But most of the days?
Most of the days, it's okay. But it's a fight. It's a fight to say, okay, am I really happy with this? And need to learn, okay, I should not go for that. In the end of the day, I will not feel okay with what I have done. So it's very difficult, because you can be trapped by several things. And so need to make choices.
Okay. We are done.
This is good. Third time we are done.
Yeah, this is good. And like, you really answered it well.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well means that you knew what you want to listen.
Yes, and I got it. That's how I frame. Bye. That's how I frame the questions.